89.3 and 88.5 Yes FM. Online at www.yeshome.com. Now on the free Yes FM iTunes app and the Yes FM Android app, or the free TuneIn Radio app. Search Yes FM Lima.
Right now we are going to the phone lines where we are joined by Antoinette Tuff. She's the author of the book Prepared for a Purpose. Hers is a remarkable story. We all know the story of places like Columbine and Sandy Hook. You may not know about McNair Academy, and one of the reasons you don't is because of the work that God did in that place through Antoinette. Antoinette, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show this morning.
We're pleased to have you with us. It is an incredible story that you have. And really, maybe the best thing we can say about your story is that we don't know it like we know about Columbine and about Sandy Hook and of these other tragic places because of what God did there. And I love that right at the beginning of the book, you talk about how your story is really about how God guides us all on our journeys and prepares us for a purpose that is not always ours to know. Boy, that was certainly true of you that morning when you went to school. Tell us about what happened there.
Well, I got up that morning just like anyone else. Your story is mine and my story is yours. The only thing about it is God determined and decided to use me that day. Didn't know he was going to do it. I got up in my prayer time. He didn't give me any forewarning or anything that hours later that I would be faced with an AK-47. So as I'm going to work and getting up and going before him, I'm at work, and my principal asked me to fill in for the receptionist that morning. And so I got up to get ready to go fill in for her, and I get a phone call. And the phone call just knocks me off my feet, just devastating. And I'm now sitting there with my door closed, trying to get my composure as I'm weeping in tears because of what has now come before me, on top of my ex-husband, who I've been with since I was 13 for 33 years, told me several months before that he no longer wanted their marriage, and he was in a relationship with someone else. So as I'm now going through the day trying to process all of that and this phone call, then now the secretary calls me to allow me to know and see where I'm at, because now I'm late to relieve her for lunch. And as I now open my door, the teacher asked me, can I help her? So as the mask is on my face, but if you could see inside, all inside, I'm crumbling apart, hoping someone would save me and recognize that in all reality, I just got the devastating news. But no one does, because why? I have a great mask on my face. So now as I'm in the front office, I'm sitting there helping the teacher, and in comes a young man dressed in all black with an AK-47. So, as I say, okay, God, this has got to be a joke. You have already given me all this in the back and everything that's in my basket. This has to be a joke. But as the young man now proceeds out of his mouth to allow me to know that this is not a joke, that I am here, and everyone is going to die today, including himself.
So what is going through your mind? Because obviously, you're dealing with a lot of personal issues, a lot of personal pain that's just been thrust upon you. Now this comes in. Was there anything that ran through your mind immediately? Did you begin praying? What was going on in that moment?
Well, in that moment, I was sitting there asking God, it's got to be a joke for the moment. But it was not until he started speaking that I knew the seriousness and the reality of what I was actually into. When he told the teacher to now go down the hallway into the classrooms to allow everyone to know that he is here in the building and that it's not a joke. So as the story now begins to unfold, I am now realizing that what I thought was a joke was not really a joke. It is now reality. And what am I going to do to not save me and that young man, but also everyone that's in the building? We had over 870 students in that building, teachers and parents that morning.
And this school goes, because you had young kids. Is it a school that goes from young all the way through high school? What are the age ranges?
It's a school. The school goes from pre-K all the way up to 5th grade. Okay.
And so you begin to engage this young man. What did you say to him, and how did God help you in that moment? Because I know he had to be giving you things to say, because he developed a confidence in you.
Well, I'm now sitting there at the desk because he's not actually having a conversation with me. He's just giving me demands of what he wants to do. So I've now seen this young man unfold. I've now seen him tell the teacher to go tell everybody. The cafeteria manager comes into the office where I am. He does not move as quickly as Michael Hill wants him to. So now he fires his first bullet right there in front of me, feet away from me. The bullet now ricochets, and I'm praying to God that it ain't going to hit nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm now going on, I'm talking to this young man because in spite of him standing there with an AK-47, he's now showing me that he's all unstable in all his ways. Remember, I knew that pain. I had just felt it in my office, and
Right.
I knew it when my ex-husband had said to me that this marriage is no longer going to work. So I knew that pain. I knew that at that moment, he did not need me to judge him or pass judgment on him. He needed me to show him compassion and love.
And so how did you do that? How did you start to engage this young man?
Whereas I was sitting there, I'm now actually talking to God, asking God, what do I say? How do I say it? Knowing that every word that proceeds out of my mouth is life or death. You know, how do I go about and do this, God? I can't do this on my own. Terrified on the inside, but God speaks through me to use me as a vessel for him to be able to be calm on the outside, because on the inside I was literally screaming. I was so terrified.
Yeah, understandably. You know, and so, you know, when as you were talking to him and as you were trying to engage him and kind of calm him down, because you're in turmoil yourself, there was a prayer you kept praying. What did you keep praying over and over?
Well, the thing about it is I didn't actually do any particular prayer in mind because I didn't have time to actually say, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. You know, I read Psalms 23 every morning, so I didn't have time to actually quote that scripture. But because that scripture was already bedded in my heart, because that's something that I always say to the Lord, you know, I know that I don't have to fear any evil, even though the evil is right there before me. And my pastor, Apostle Ulysses Tuff, had actually on that Sunday did an anchoring sermon.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had studied that sermon, had told God that Monday I'm going to start studying that sermon. So I studied that sermon on Monday and then on Tuesday. So that was already embedded in me because of the relationship that I had started developing with God.
Mm. And so after the teacher goes out and tells people he's there, he's in. What kind of walk us through what happens next in the whole process of him? Does he ever leave that area? Did you keep him there? I know at one point obviously the police come and surround the building, and there's some gunfire exchange. Talk us a little bit through what happens and how you were working with him through that time. So
now what he's doing, the cafeteria manager is now coming. So he's now shot another shot. So now there's two people, and he actually tells the cafeteria manager to actually go and let everybody know that he's there.
Mm-hmm.
So as he now sits and stands to pace in the room before me, he now props the door open to go back and forth to shoot at police in the air outside. Now remember, there's houses and everything around that area. So bullets don't have any names, so you have no idea who those bullets are going to hit. So he's now shooting at police. The police are shooting back at him. So it's a cowboy Indian situation. I mean, so I'm saying to him, come back in here. Bullets don't have no name. And so he still continues to shoot, not until he sees blood. And I'm continuing to talk to him that in between or the midst of that, even though he's not responding back to me, but you know that God is allowing his heart to receive what I'm saying, because now he's responding to some of the things that I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them, but some of them. And so now he comes back in, still distraught, now wants to commit suicide himself right there in front of me. And I'm saying to him, no, we're not going to do that today. So now as you go and now listen to the 911 tape, I go now and now explain to him and go and start allowing him to see some of the hurt and pain that I've had through the loss of my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And allow him to see that even though life gives you trials and tribulations, but in spite of all that, life is worth living for.
And
so...
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so now he goes now to still not listen to me, but now makes a phone call to his family member. And you could hear the desperation on the other side as they're wanting him to not do what he's doing. But because the pain is so strong in his heart, he knows no other way but to continue to do what he's doing and hoping that someone will rescue him. And I just know that God had me that day to be his angel, because God sent angels to me when I was in my desperate mode of suicide also.
Mm-hmm. And that was something, obviously, you had in common with him. Did you share that own struggle that you had with suicide?
Oh, yes. I explained all that to him for him to be able to understand that his story was mine and my story was his, and that we both had pain, and that in spite of it, we both were going to live today.
How did it end with him, and how did that story come to a close?
Well, now he's actually saying that he's going to die and we're going to die and all that, and so I actually was able to allow him to understand that he didn't have to. And so he now puts the gun, the weapons, he has now put the magazines and all of the bullets that he came in, that he had left over, on the table. He now lays down on the floor, prostrate before the Lord with his hands behind his back, and allow the police officers to come in and get him.
Mm. Wow. An amazing story. And I take it in all of this, was anybody hurt in all of this?
Not one life was hurt, injured, or anything. What a God we serve.
Wow. That is such an amazing story, and such amazing courage, and, an amazing power of God to come on you in that moment and give you what you needed to face down just the unthinkable. How has that, now that you've been through this experience, you've seen the work of God and the hand of God in such a powerful way, how has that changed you?
It's changed my life a lot. That's why I wanted to go back and write my book, for people to be able to see that I was an ordinary person just like they were. I wanted them to be able to see that in spite of what trials and tribulations and what comes in your life, if your life gives you lemons, make lemonade and allow God to add the sugar to it. And so I'm now going about speaking nationally and internationally, allowing people to know how to be prepared for their purpose. After all of this, I've actually now, people have donated to my nonprofit through my GoFundMe, and they continue to donate, and we continue to most definitely need donations. We've now been able to take some of that in form of a business that's called Kids on the Move for Success. We just gave away our first scholarship for someone else to be able to go to college, so that they can realize, in spite of what they're going through, God has a purpose for them. And so we're now being able to go and do wonderful things and change lives and save souls.
And what's the name of the nonprofit again, and how can folks find out more information about it?
The nonprofit is Kids on the Move for Success, and the website for it is kidsonthemoveforsuccess.org. We're now getting that up so people can be able to go on and be able to apply for scholarships and see the different events that we're going to be doing. And my other website for my books and everything is AntoinetteTuff.com.
And the book is called Prepared for a Purpose. It is the dramatic story you just heard. Antoinette talk down a would-be school shooter and save the lives of over 800 students. She's been recognized by President Obama and by many, many others for her heroism, and it is an incredible story of God's power in the most extreme circumstances. If you'd like a copy of the book, we have one here, 419-240-1937 or 1-800-457-1937. If you'd like a copy of the book, call now, and we'll give that to you. Hey, Antoinette, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and for sharing just, the power of God in incredible circumstances. It's an inspiration to everyone to know, no matter what circumstances we're facing, God is more than capable of meeting us there.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on your show, and you have a blessed and wonderful day today.
You too. God bless, Antoinette.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Yes, FM.